you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. How many of you travel? Like you, I travel quite a bit for my job. I'm at the airport all the time, traveling between cities. You know, when I first started traveling, I used to get pretty frustrated. I would be walking through the airport just trying to rush to my gate, and invariably there would be someone there, some families, what have you, that it was probably their first time and they were looking around, trying to find their gate, trying to see if their flight was on time. And you know, I'm just trying to figure out how to weave around them to get over to my gate. Fast forward to today, I still get frustrated as I go through the airport and there's folks in front of me. But now they're not looking around. Now they're looking at their phone. They're walking along, they're either texting, they're looking to see what posts were out there. It's an entirely new day. Technology has literally disrupted our lives down to that level. And it's both for good and bad, right? The value of technology cannot be understated. But it's bad when I'm trying to make my flight. I only have a couple minutes for my connection, and I'm trying to dance around people on the phone. So it just dawned on me that technology has reached us at such a fundamental level that it affects even just how I'm trying to rush around to get to the gate, as I'm disrupted by others who are engaged in their technology. Tell you what, I want to tell you another story that's even more personal and more dear to my heart. So I enjoy cooking. Does anybody else cook? Yeah? No? Yes? I enjoy cooking. Always have, taught by my mom, grandmother. And my kids tell me they like my cooking, so I hope that's true. And when I cook, I always grab the salt and pepper off of our kitchen table. And my wife absolutely hates that. For her, that's the good salt and pepper shaker, and I'm supposed to use the salt and pepper over by the stove and the oven, and that's what I use when I'm cooking. And I never do that. I always grab the other salt and pepper shaker. So invariably, she's like, Al, stop it. Leave these here, grab the others. And so one day, I'm home, and my daughter comes home from school, and she brings home 2 little plastic pigs. And she says, Daddy, do you see my pigs? And I said, yes, they're these pink pigs. And one pig has 1 hole in its nostril, and the other pig has 2 holes in its nostril. And she says, Daddy, look, you can unscrew the tail. And I said, oh, that's great, honey. And she said, yeah, I made these salt and pepper shakers in my 3D printing class, so now Mommy won't yell at you anymore for taking the ones off of the kitchen table. Technology is at that level, right? A 5th grader with the 3D printer is now making salt and pepper shakers for me. So you see how technology has disrupted so many things. It's driven yet even more competencies than what we would have ever imagined, even in a 10-year-old, and how they utilize their new competencies to be able to help out their daddy. In IBM, when we think about that in the broader context, we call that the cycle of disruption. How companies are experiencing disruption because of the emergence and adoption of technology and the advancements associated with it. So there's industry disruption that drives these new competencies. And then these new competencies drive this whole cycle. It starts with new perspectives and approaches. Because I have these new competencies, it now opens up the door to really think about things differently than you may have thought about them previously. And then those new perspectives and approaches lead to new ways of working. New ways of working ultimately lead to new discoveries and advancements that drive new outcomes. This cycle of disruption is never going to stop. And it's actually going to continue to speed up as technology and advancements continue to be more and more inclusive in our day-to-day lives. You, all of you, are driving this disruption every day. As you consume more and more of that technology, and it becomes more and more consumable for you, so much more natural for you to use. And as that happens, you create that environment that ultimately companies are responding to so that they can reach all of you as consumers in a more meaningful way. There's 3 types of disruption to think about. One are companies that disrupt their own market, that utilize technology to be able to develop a product at a lower cost or deliver a service at a lower cost with a higher return. The second type of disruption is disrupting another market. How many of you have gone to a car dealership to buy a car? And usually that represents the typical options available to you, from lower end to high end. It could be a Ford or a Lincoln or a GM or Chevy or whatever dealership is out there, right? How many of you would think about going to an Apple dealership for a car? That's the world that we're moving to, right? Where Apple and Google are actually car manufacturers. And frankly, if you think about it, if I have a car that's interconnected with my phone and my iPad and my Apple TV and my connected home that knows my preferences, and it's an autonomous vehicle that can pull movies from my iTunes account, suddenly that car is more interactive with my life and might be a better preference for me than one that isn't. Right? Suddenly, I now have technology providers that are disrupting an automotive industry. Then finally, there's those that really take a defensive position around disruption and are facing disruption from another company. And they need to do things to defend themselves in their current position so that they can avoid being disrupted. Some examples that I think of: Airbus. Airbus uses drones for inspection, drones for commercial use. They've developed innovation teams. They've even built venture funds for emerging technology companies, all to figure out how to utilize new technology to be able to make a plane cheaper, but equal or greater quality. And that puts tremendous pressure on their competitors. And then Tesla. How many people look at Tesla as an automotive company? Yeah, most of you? Did you ever think about Tesla as an energy and utility company? You know, Tesla actually has a product called Powerwall that's able to store excess energy and make it available for residential and commercial use. So suddenly, you don't need to get your energy off of the grid, you can get it from Tesla's product. These examples are all around us. Examples where you see companies disrupting other markets, their own market, or doing what they can to avoid disruption. I'd like you to think about how disruption affects all of us and how you are at the center of that, both in the disruption that you're facing as you consume things and the disruption that you're creating as you're consuming technology, and then leaving messages to companies that are saying, I better get on the bandwagon, adopt this technology just the same, so that I could reach each of you in a new and meaningful way. The more that we start to see how these competencies can shape our environment and our world, the more that we adopt them, the more it gives us all the power to build our own Pink Piggy salt and pepper shakers. Thank you very much.